Barefoot shoes are essential, like changing into a wide toe box shoe, the main thing to do. But our feet also desire or need deep pressure. Our surfaces in modern society don't really offer that. And so for them to get some deep pressure, it's good to, stand on natural surfaces, or if you can't stand on natural surfaces, put something on the ground that feels like a natural surface, and that could be like a cork roller or something like that.
Please welcome my guest, Andy Bryant. It was so great to connect with him in person at the Barefoot Shoe Expo in Denver, Colorado, because he comes all the way from Melbourne, Australia. He's doing some incredible work as a podiatrist, as a holistic podiatrist down there. We actually found him at Peluva all the way over in Australia and loved the work that he was doing so much that he's a close associate and ambassador for our company. And boy, this was great to see him come to the USA, bring his A game. They had a wonderful booth that was one of the busiest booths of the whole show, the Foot Collective, where they were doing little exercises and games. You saw people having fun over there all day long. And Andy talks a little bit on this podcast about how to gamify the skill building of natural movement, some interesting insights. He's renowned for his innovative approach to foot health, transitioning from a traditional podiatry practice, I'm sure with great frustration. Andy now emphasizes natural foot function, focusing on restoring the foot's innate movement patterns. His methods prioritize mobility, strength, and lifestyle adjustments over conventional orthotic solutions. That pretty much says it all right there, because the traditional mainstream approach across medicine, right, is to take care of the disease, take care of the symptoms. And so he kind of went out on his own, started this innovative practice. He talks about taking people outside and moving their feet around, getting them walking around barefoot as part of their actual treatment from a medical professional. He's called a pro educator for this organization called the Foot Collective. You can check out their website. They have classes you can take and learn about foot functionality and do the exercises, following them along. He's going to share a bit about his personal journey. He used to be an elite teenage distance runner. He cranked out a 153 800 meters and ran a 31-minute 10K at age 16. And then he kind of burnt out, sharing that experience with me back when I was a young runner. He transitioned into things like competitive cycling, into yoga, and now with natural movement at the centerpiece of his lifestyle as well as his profession. So lots of good, interesting insights from Dr. Andy Bryant. Enjoy. Dr. Andy Bryant, good to see you here at the Barefoot Shoe Expo. You're one of the furthest traveled of the whole place here. You came from Australia to Denver, Colorado.
I did, and from Melbourne, which I think is even further.
Oh, mercy.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of your kind here, people enthusiastic, interested in foot health. We saw the Foot Collective booth busy all day.
Yeah.
People playing with the little contraptions. Maybe
Yeah.
you should describe what the offering is and
What we do there?
how the great response is.
Barefoot shoes are essential, like changing into a wide toe box shoe, the main thing to do. But our feet also desire or need deep pressure, and that's our surfaces in modern society don't really offer that. And so for them to get some deep pressure, it's good to, stand on natural surfaces, or if you can't stand on natural surfaces, put something on the ground that feels like a natural surface, and that could be like a cork roller or something like that. And then if someone's been wearing conventional shoes, which are stiff, highly cushioned, heel to toe drop, their feet have become deconditioned. And so sometimes when they go into less shoe, like a barefoot shoe or a minimalist shoe or natural footwear, whichever you want to call it, they struggle with that. They get injuries. This is most of my caseload, people that are trying to get into these shoes and having trouble, or we're using these types of shoes to help them get over issues. But that comes with some need for education, a high need for education as to how to do it. So that's what we provide, and that's what I provide in my job. And then also other tools like exercises and things that can help bring up their ability to restore their feet to a level where they can start using their feet without having to think about it all the time. That's kind of the goal, that we shouldn't have to think, oh, can I do this because of my feet? Like they should just be doing their job and you don't have to think about them too much. Yeah. So tell me about your practice in Melbourne and what's the situation down under like in terms of the awareness and the mentality? Because what we get here is a lot of people saying, oh, do these shoes have
have a lot of support? And I say, no, they don't. That's the idea. And so it's a complete, we have to reprogram from all the brainwashing of the
Yeah.
shoe industry. So
Yeah.
a double-part question there.
Yeah. We'll start with the second part. The need for support is only necessary because we sit a lot all day. So we lose the ability to use our hips like we should, which is externally and internally rotating. And that when we do that, our arch is controlled by the rest of our body. We wear mostly a heeled shoe, so our calves aren't doing the work that they should do. And a strong calf gives us the ability to control our arch as well. And then we wear shoes that push our big toe sideways. And when we push our big toe sideways, we lose the ability to control our arch as well. So the best orthotic or arch support is a straight big toe, strong calves, and strong and flexible hips. And
Where can I buy that?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
A straight big toe.
Yeah, straight big toe.
A
strong calves.
strong calves and a strong flexible arch.
Yeah, a strong flexible hip.
Oh, hip.
So that your hip can control what your foot is doing.
Yeah.
And so our modern life doesn't allow for this. And that's why people say you need a shoe with arch support. And maybe if you do have a shoe that's squashing your toes together, you're sitting all day and you're in a shoe with a higher heel than forefoot, so your calves aren't strong, then maybe you do need arch support. But if you want to go without arch support, then you need to start doing something about those fat parts of your body. Yeah.
I guess that's a parallel to I need a bunch of prescription medication because I eat so much unhealthy food that my cholesterol's high and my digestion is bad.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to be pain-free, this is the path.
Yeah.
But we haven't really embraced that as much as looking for the next more cushioned shoe or whatever.
In other aspects of health, whether it be sleep, diet, movement, we tend to know, well, it's almost instinctive because of education, like Mark's education on eating well, that type of thing, or education on moving well, or people know that they should sleep. These are just culturally now known things. But in footwear, it's still culturally considered that you need a supportive shoe, a cushioned shoe. And so hence why we have, why I see myself as an educator, why I team up with the Foot Collective, because they're educators, so that we're filling the gap between that cultural norm and what we see as true foot health. In my practice at home, I was in a traditional podiatry practice for 17 years and then broke away and started doing my own thing because I couldn't put the two together. Like traditional podiatry and the way I wanted to practice. And there are, a few of us around in Australia, but still, if you go to most podiatrists, they are suggesting you go into heeled, cushioned, stiff shoe, and a custom orthotic. Yeah. They're not considering these parts. And, if we rehab any other part of the body, pretty much from the ankle up, it's with movement and strength. But when it comes to the foot, we just think, put it on ice. There must be something faulty with it. It needs help. Every other part of the body.
That? I mean,
and so I think podiatry is learning this, and they're starting to build rehab in, but not enough and not hard enough. Like we know in, say, a patella tendon rehab, you need to load that thing, and feet thrive on load. And so the exercises most podiatrists are giving a piecemeal.
Move your toe up. And,
it's not enough.
Yeah.
You need to really load the foot. It's designed to be loaded and responds well to load.
So when you say deep pressure, are you talking about, what does that really mean?
Yeah, so, every surface we are on in our modern society is pretty much flat and hard. And so we lose the ability to cope with something that's uneven and firm, to the point that our feet become sensitive and therefore more likely to trigger pain because they've become so hypersensitive, because our shoes and our surfaces are so stale.
Right.
So if we start exposing them to some deep pressure, that it doesn't have to hurt to start with. Like day one could be not that deep at all, but by day 20, you're putting your whole body weight on it like a tree root, because your body is highly adaptive, and then it can cope more with other aspects of things that might hurt your feet usually.
Yeah. Uneven surface walking or whatever.
Or even overuse injuries. It gives the body more ways to cope with moving and cope with different sensations. And then, pain is this mystical thing these days. You might not have any tissue damage, but you're still feeling pain because your brain is sensing some load difference or something that it's not accustomed to. And so if we can desensitize our feet so they become robust and able to tolerate texture and deep pressure, then our brain is like, oh yeah, that's normal down there. It's not freaking out every time it feels something a little different.
Yeah. So in clinical practice, do you have tree roots growing out of the tile in your office?
No, we have a lot of those little cork rollers around, and I have
so that's a Foot Collective.
Yeah, it's called the Soulmate.
Plug.
Yeah,
you can go and order. What's it called?
It's called the Soulmate. You can order
the Soulmate.
It through there. Yeah.
Footcollective.com.
Or you can buy. You can. I've got a dish full of rocks, like you've got your rock mats here, or there's a whole lot of different textured things that you can do.
We call them foot candy.
Yeah, that's right. I have. Well, I call them foot nutrients. Like if we're meant to eat certain foods for nutrition, our body is meant to have certain movement for nutrition as well.
Yeah.
Katie Bowman spoke of that
There she is.
just over there.
Barefoot Convention.
That's
Everybody's
right,
here.
yeah. She spoke of that, this idea of movement nutrition, that we should be having all these different facets of movement coming into it.
Variation and different things. Yeah.
And so in my practice, mostly people are now coming to see me because I practice this way.
Is your practice located in the park or in an office?
No, it's in an office. It's in an office.
Okay.
I'm barefoot mostly at work. So
Wow, that's cool.
Standard.
What a tone to set.
That's right.
Yeah.
But
All your employees are walking around.
I don't have employees. I work for myself, and no one's working with me. And there's textured rock mats. There's that type of thing going around. It's quite clinical though, in that I'm giving like specific exercises and helping people transition into different shoes and things like that.
Yeah, so it seems like I've been in the physical therapy world for my track and field injuries, and like it seems like the trend now is away from rest, medication, and surgical intervention, and now it's super aggressive. And I was amazed, like after my Achilles surgery, the guy had me come in the first day, Dr. Jonathan, and he said, hey, grab that kettlebell, go sit on the thing, and I want you to do, weighted races. I'm like, but I just had surgery. I'm still sore and it feels a little inflamed. He's like, 3 sets of those and then meet me over there. And I couldn't believe it, but like this is the standard of care now, is you got to load that stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, but they still don't load the foot enough, I think.
Right.
It's still not being loaded enough.
Yeah.
In fact, it's being deloaded. They're still using orthotics and big shoes. The most common thing is to be in a hocker, which is like this big rocker bottom shoe with an orthotic. And so the rocker, which is counterintuitive, because one is trying to supposedly encourage foot function, and the other one is taking foot function away.
Yeah.
And this is because the measure is pain. We should be measuring function first. So when someone comes back to me after they've got, say, plantar fasciitis, 3 weeks later, I see them for a review where I've had them starting to expose their feet to some different texture and pressure, and they've been doing some exercises. I'm not saying, oh, how's your pain? They might tell me how their pain is, but I'm saying, oh, so how's your walking going? How are you going in everyday life activities?
Yeah.
Have you got back to playing pickleball or whatever they were meant to be doing? Or can you get through more
You guys
than
have
9 holes of
pickleball
golf?
in Australia?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
We're up there with it,
Everywhere.
Maybe not in Tasmania, but in Australia, the rest of Australia. Anyway,
Not yet.
So if we measure function and we change a client's view of that, if function's going up and pain stays the same, we're winning. At some point, pain will start looking after itself when you function heading in that direction.
So
whereas mainstream health still is measuring symptoms.
All about the pain.
Symptoms rather than root causes.
Yeah, and the symptom being the pain.
Yeah.
And so let's treat the pain, treat the pain.
Because then the client goes, oh, the pain's gone, but you're leaving someone in a lesser state. I don't call that as that's disease care, not health care.
Yeah. I mean, hey, the pain's gone when I sit on my butt and don't do any exercise. My foot feels great.
Yeah, that's like I say. It feels good to sit in a couch, but is it good for you?
So the idea of loading, it's just going to be maybe scary, unusual, especially because we're all like calibrated to something's painful, I don't want to do that. Where's that nuance exist? And this might be a personal question, because I'm like, how hard should I rehab my Achilles? It's painful a lot and it's messed up, but I know that my path to pain-free future is strengthening and loading.
Yeah, it's on an individual case by case, but educating that pain is not always such a bad thing. Like sometimes, like if you reframe what that pain is, as it's your brain saying, hey, just take it easy there for a bit, like sometimes you can say, well, I'm just going to push it a bit more. And you're like, oh, well, I got through that. And then this is, I might not see my clients for 3 or 4 weeks in between appointments, but I kind of hold their hands through that, like they might send me a message saying, oh, I went in my new shoes, like a shoe like this. And when I go for my walk now, it's more painful. I'm like, well, let's go back to something with more cushioning, or let's put something else in there in the short term. And then in a couple of days time, let's try it again. We don't go, it's all or nothing. It's just this back and forward and understanding that, okay, we apply, it's like your body is exercise 101. Like it's teaching you, if you can just tune into what it's telling you, it's trying to give you the feedback that it needs to heal and perform. And it's always trying to heal itself. It doesn't want to be in pain, so we just got to work with it, create the right environment for healing. And, that often is just educating someone about why that pain is happening.
So working with contraptions like the Soulmate and many other cool things we see around here, this is sort of a way for foot fitness to occur.
I think the tools are sometimes required because people need something to motivate them. But they're not highly necessary. We offer, if you look at any of our Foot Collective videos, Jim, the main physical therapist that presents most of those, says at the start, we're going to use this tool, but if you don't have it, just roll up a towel and put it around a broomstick. It works the same, or just do it on the rolled up towel. Or if it's too much for your foot, put a rolled up towel over something, and if that's not accessible to you, just do it on the flat floor. Like, we shouldn't need the tool to do the exercise. Our environment can provide that for us.
What about walking around barefoot all day like you? Now you're giving your foot a workout just by simply existing and living. Same with, we're trying to say with Peluva, like you can't go around barefoot all the time. And so this is the next best thing, but you're getting that automatic toe spacing effect. And you're also, you talked about those three things, the strengthening, strong calf.
Straight big toe.
Straight big toe.
And we've been walking around all day. We're doing a bit of sitting now, probably because, you know what, my feet are actually a little sore today because I've been barefoot on this hard, flat surface all day. They've been interspersed with being up and down, like on and off some texture. But it's not common for me to spend all day on my feet on a hard, flat surface. It doesn't mean that in a week's time, I wouldn't be able to do it without pain if I had built up to it appropriately, or in 3 weeks' time or whatever. And maybe on a day like today, if I was in a shoe like that, I wouldn't have like a slightly achy foot. But this is also because like I don't freak out that my foot might be aching a little bit. I'm like, oh, that's just because I've been on my feet all day and I'm not accustomed to it. I'll have a good rest tonight, roll my feet out, or, you know, we'll be right tomorrow. But maybe if I did it 3 days in a row, it might hang around for a week. It's just about measuring dose and understanding what's going on.
I find that to be a tough challenge sometimes because I really want to strengthen my foot and then possible to overdo it at times, I guess.
It is, But it's often 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And every rehab program is like that. You know, if you've just had a knee replacement, you're going to have some bad days.
Okay. All right.
It's never linear.
Okay, I feel better now. That's good.
Especially for someone like you who's pushing it, you know, like you're wanting to get back to a level.
Yeah, sure.
And so it's harder, although your motivation is higher, so that makes it easier. But you know, you're asking a lot of your system, and so you'll get there as quick as the next person because you're always like on this edge of pushing.
So here we are in America. 83% of Americans have chronic foot pain, according to the American Podiatric Association. That's a lot. And so and I know people that are limited by so much by their pain that they're not engaging. They haven't ordered their soulmate yet, and they're not hitting that deep pressure. So
or wearing a shoe like yours.
Or wearing a shoe without the rigid orthotic or the huge elevated heel. So what's kind of like some baby steps that one can take if they're interested in foot functionality?
I have clients that get out of bed and they put their orthotic and their hocker on. Like and
to walk to the bathroom.
To walk to the bathroom, and they take
otherwise because it hurts.
And then when they go in the shower, they'll put their like arch-controlled thongs, you know, and so they're never barefoot. And so I'll ask that person to go outside onto the nice soft grass and just for 5 minutes have your feet on the. You don't have to be standing. Just put your feet on the grass in the sun. Just like expose your feet to some texture and to some natural surface. No one can tell you that feels bad, you know. So just get in on a level that is a positive and just build from there incrementally. You know, I've got a client at the moment that wants to go overseas and walk a lot. And so she's like, I'm waiting for my feet to stop being sore before I can start walking. And that's not the way to do it. We've got her like going out for 2.5 minutes, back for 2.5 minutes this week, 3 times this week. Next week, I'll get her doing like 4 minutes out, 4 minutes back, 3 times, you know, so that when this is not making her pain any worse, but when she gets to this overseas holiday in 3 months' time, she'll be up to walking 45 minutes. Even if it's the same pain, her function is better. But we started with this baby step. Whereas if we waited 2 months and then say, okay, you'll be walking 45 minutes, there is no capacity happening. So for these people that are in such pain, just taking their shoes off at home and starting to slowly increase that is a powerful thing.
Even if you're still in a little bit of pain or...
even if you're in still a little bit of pain.
If it goes from a 2 out of 10 to 3 out of 10 because you're barefoot, we can see the vision of how to get there. And so if you make some form of commitment to trying out some barefoot shoes or trying to spend more time barefoot at home.
Actually barefoot to start with.
Throw away those shower thongs and just walk into that shower. Go for it with bare feet. We can feel comfortable that we're making progress with our feet.
The body is highly resilient and not like if you have a scan of your foot, especially that, say I'm 47, if we scanned my knee, there's some bad stuff going on in there.
Oh yeah?
But I don't have any symptoms in this knee. But this is normal for 47-year-old knees to have some stuff going on in there. Same with spines. No, spines, hips, feet, all these things that we use as we age, they show up stuff. And so there's a saying, you are not your scan. But if you go, if you have a sore foot and you go and get it scanned and it shows up all this stuff, and
look at you, saying, look at this foot, let me show you.
Yeah, look how bad it is, you know. And so then we become fragile about the way our bodies move, and this fragility leads to a smaller world, and then more fragility, like as in we don't move as much. And so you're not going to break your foot by going for a couple of minutes barefoot around the house. They are designed for load.
Fantastic. And you also have the online course for an individual anywhere around the world. world to learn more. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the Foot Collective and I, but mostly the two physical therapists there, have come up with a 12-week program. 12 weeks is really special because in any strength program, the first month might be some neurological changes, second month some connective tissue changes, third month we start seeing some actual muscular strength changes.
Yeah.
And so it's when it goes for 12 weeks, it's saying like this is not an easy or slow process. You have to be committed to this. It's also doing it over 5 days a week, building up a habit. 5 days is important as well because 7 days doesn't give you a chance to rest. When we're building up strength, we need to break stuff down, and then in the time where you have rest, it builds up again. So it's been very
now I'm getting some valuable information
it's
here.
been very sensibly programmed, and we start with the most basic foot exercises, and then build upon them and build up your own ability to come up with something that helps your feet feel good. And so that's an online program that we've had some great success with already. So that's good. Yeah.
So you're here for a while doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
You're here at the show.
Yeah.
And then you got more American endeavors.
The Foot Collective have this program called Guide Certificate, and that's a 2-day program where we teach other movement health professionals. So you could be a yoga teacher or an orthopedic foot surgeon, you know, anywhere on that spectrum. You just have to have a qualification to be able to help people. And so we do this 2-day certification teaching about how the body should move and then how that relates to the feet and then different ways to do that. So we're running that the 2 days after this here in Denver, and we're running that with some other people that have already been through it. And so we're teaching them to help run these courses in our quest for world education on natural foot health, you know? And then I go off to a place called Paxton, which is near Boston, and I'm running a pro seminar, which is a 1 day for other professionals to learn about how to strengthen feet, basically, strengthen and mobilize feet in this capacity, in this way. And then I've got 4 days in New York as a holiday because I've always wanted, this is my second time in the States after last year. And I'm like, this might not keep happening. So it's always been a dream of mine to get to New York. So that's where I'll be doing 4 days at the end of this trip.
Like Mick Dundee walking down the street, remember him?
Supposedly that's come out again or something. It's been,
a
released or something.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, that was classic.
Yeah, that is classic. But
Remember,
was he in LA
he
or
took
New
his
York?
bed and he slept on the ground because he didn't know what the bed was.
Was he in LA?
He was in New York City.
New York, yeah, that's right. And he goes, this is a knife. That's not a knife.
Someone
this
pulled
is
a knife on him.
Yeah, that's
Give
right.
me your wallet.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
That's a knife.
Yeah.
No, mate, that's not a knife. This is a knife.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and they still say throw some prawns on the barbie. I think that's still something that Australians use to, Australia's tourism industry use to advertise Australia. But we don't actually have prawns on the barbie that often.
Just cultural lore.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like you're doing great work. We appreciate you so much with Peluva and your help with our dispensation of information and having that credibility in the traditional podiatry world.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, like, what's it going to take for this revolution to come? And you sometimes hear people criticizing people that are in the mainstream realm, but it's pretty tough because everyone's well-meaning who's in those caring industries.
Yeah.
But there's been influences like the custom orthotic business. People are pounding the drum and spending marketing dollars and convincing you that these are good. And then they are good because you mentioned earlier, they relieve pain and whatever. But like, when are we going to make that split to holistic or whatever you want to say approach to foot health?
It's got to be in the education because the people that are doing that, they are doing what they know and they're doing it from the goodness of their heart. But then they also build up a business and a livelihood that revolves around it.
A callus, if you will, on their feet and on their brain.
It's very hard to, I think there's some famous saying is it's very hard to teach someone new when their livelihood was something new, when their livelihood revolves around the old way. So that happens. So we have to actually get into the universities. My dream would be to have a minimalist or natural foot company provide shoes to a podiatry students for 6 months, and they have to get themselves into that shoe, build up in that shoe and understand what that process looks like. Because more and more people, in this world are going to mainstream health professionals and saying, I want to do this. And they're still being told they shouldn't. And I want the mainstream health professional, podiatrist, physical therapist, all different people to be able to say, I understand that because I remember at uni I did this. And you know what? I reckon a lot of them would end up staying in those shoes if they went through that process. But even just going through the process themselves and understanding it would give them some better understanding of helping their clients. And then we might see some change. That would be
that's a great
dream of
suggestion.
mine.
Love it.
Yeah.
You're forced to go barefoot in your studies. And what's the harm? Like, were they all going to report, do a paper ever 6 months later saying that their feet are all ruined now?
Well, the
Not
podiatry,
likely.
the Podiatry Student Association at the university I went to,
Yeah.
they are sponsored by ASICS. So the Students Association is sponsored by ASICS.
That's infiltration of corporate into
another
education.
shoe called Baird, which is BARAD, which sounds like a minimalist natural shoe, but it's not. It's a heeled, pointy, it's stiff and heavy.
Yeah.
And they're sponsoring their events, they're sponsoring their boat cruises, they're sponsoring they're basically in on the ground floor. And this is akin to, I think at some point we'll look back and go, wow, tobacco manufacturers were sponsoring the medical profession at one point, you know? Maybe not that extreme, but in terms of musculoskeletal health, it's pretty extreme what we do to feet and get away with the consequences.
Whew.
Yeah.
All right, let's
Probably a
clean
good way
that
to
up
finish
in the
that up.
academic
Yeah, that's
world.
right.
Don't take sponsorship from, crazy corporate interests.
Yeah.
Dr. Andy Bryant, killing it here in Denver. Thank you, mate.
Thanks for having us.
Good convo. Go check out thefootcollective.com, enroll in the course, watch them on YouTube if you're not ready for the full course, but get something going with your feet.
Yeah.
Get some barefoot shoes on. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.